Imagine a universe where the biggest musical act in history is missing a crucial piece. A universe where the silver voice behind Epiphany never sang a single note on a stadium stage. The year is 2011. A strikingly handsome college student steps off a bus in Seoul. A stranger sprints up to him on the street, desperately begging him to audition for an entertainment agency. In our timeline, he eventually says yes. He signs the contract. He becomes a legend. But what if he didn't? What if Kim Seokjin just kept walking? What if Jin of BTS never existed? We know him today as worldwide handsome, the eldest brother, the chaotic, loving, relentlessly hardworking, emotional anchor of BTS. But here is the wild truth that newer fans might not realize. Unlike the fierce underground rappers or the elite contemporary dancers of the group, Jin didn't grow up dreaming of sold-out arenas. He didn't spend his childhood practicing vocals in a mirror. He didn't want to be a K-pop idol at all. And the story of how dangerously close we came to a world without Jin and BTS is enough to give any army chills. So let's play a game. Let's rewrite history. If Jin never joined Big Hit Entertainment, what exactly would have happened to him? And more importantly, what would have happened to BTS? Let's step into timeline number 1, the K-drama superstar. To understand who Jin would be without BTS, we have to look at what he was actually doing when Big Hit found him. Jin was a normal, everyday student, but not just any student. He had fought his way into the fiercely competitive Konkuk University, majoring in acting and film. His absolute biggest dream wasn't to hold a microphone. It was to be an actor. Just picture it. It's so easy to see, isn't it? Actor Kim Seokjin. If he had politely declined that Big Hit casting director, Jin would have simply finished his degree, and with a face that plastic surgeons have literally called mathematically perfect, the Korean television industry would have scooped him up in a heartbeat. He would be starring in blockbuster K-dramas, the charming romantic lead in a modern rom-com, the noble, tragic prince in a sprawling historical epic. We would be watching him walk the red carpet at the Baeksang Arts Awards, wearing a sharp tuxedo, smiling for the flashing cameras as a beloved household name actor. But here is where the story gets crazy, because he actually had the chance to be an idol much, much earlier in his life, and he completely rejected it. Years before Big Hit even existed as a major player, a casting agent from SM Entertainment, the absolute titans of the K-pop industry at the time, spotted Jin on the street. He was just a middle schooler. The agent approached him, probably recognizing instantly that this kid had the ultimate star look. And what did our worldwide handsome do? He literally ran away from the casting director because he thought the guy was a scam artist. He went home and probably didn't give it a second thought. Just let that sink in. He actively avoided the idol life. It was knocking on his front door, and he slammed it shut. So when Big Hit finally cornered him years later as he was getting off a bus, it was a sheer miracle he even listened to them. But what if he had treated that Big Hit agent exactly like he treated the SM agent? What if he thought, no thanks, I'm going to class? Well, that brings us to timeline number 2, the corporate heir. It is a well-known secret in the fandom that Jin comes from a very comfortable background. His father is a successful CEO. If Jin decided that acting was too unstable, or if he just wanted a quiet, normal life out of the blinding public eye, he could have easily stepped into the corporate world. Imagine Jin in a high-rise office building in Seoul, wearing a perfectly tailored suit every single day, managing teams, looking over spreadsheets, carrying on the family legacy. He would be the most handsome, charismatic CEO in South Korea, the kind of boss who makes everyone laugh in the tense boardroom with his rapid-fire dad jokes, effortlessly breaking the ice before closing a multi-million-dollar deal. He would have been incredibly successful. He would have been fine. Kim Seokjin, the actor, or Kim Seokjin, the CEO, would have lived a great, fulfilling life. But that is where the pleasant daydream ends. Because while Jin would have been fine, what would have happened to the other 6 boys? What would have happened to RM, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook if Jin had never walked into that cramped, sweaty big hit practice room? This is where the reality gets dark, because without Jin, BTS as we know it would have shattered. Let's look at the early days, the debut era, 2013. BTS was a mess of aggressive hip-hop, heavy A-liner, and terrifying uncertainty. They were from a broke, no-name company. They were sleeping in one single room, crammed into cheap bunk beds, eating convenience store food just to survive. The stress was unimaginable. RM was carrying the crushing weight of leadership. Suga was battling his own inner demons and immense pressure to produce hits. The rap line was tough, the dance line was relentless. It was a pressure cooker, a ticking bomb of stress, teenage angst, and sheer exhaustion. And right in the middle of that chaos was the eldest Hyang, Jin. If Jin hadn't been there, who would have driven a shy teenage Jungkook to school? Who would have cooked hot meals for the younger members out of his own pocket, using his own allowance? Who would have swallowed his own pride, a college student suddenly thrust into a world where he was constantly scolded for his dancing, just to make the younger boys laugh and feel safe? The heartbreaking truth is, no one else could have done it. In Korean culture, the eldest brother, the Mahyang, holds a position of intense respect, but also immense authority. Jin could have easily demanded absolute obedience. He could have been a strict, terrifying senior figure, but he looked at the fragile, terrified boys around him, and he made a conscious, incredibly sacrificial choice. He shattered the hierarchy. He became the Joker, the guy who blew flying kisses to embarrass them, the one who bickered with the youngest like they were the same age, the one who practically invented his own brand of windshield wiper laughter just to break the suffocating tension in the room. He absorbed their stress. He let them shine while he stayed in the back. Without Jin's emotional cushioning, the intense pressure of those early years wouldn't have just been hard, it would have been fatal to the group. The fierce, burning fire of RM, Suga, and J-Hope needed Jin's calming water. Without him, BTS might have simply burned out. And then there's the music. For a moment, strip away the personality and just listen. Think about a BTS discography without the silver voice. Think about the bridge of Blood, Sweat, and Tears losing its haunting anchor. Imagine the agonizing emotional climax of Fake Love without that desperate, piercing high note. But the real tragedy? The world would never have experienced Epiphany. We are talking about a song that literally saved lives, a song that became an anthem for millions battling self-hatred. If Jin never joined BTS, there is no stadium of 60,000 people screaming, "I'm the one I should love," into the night sky. The entire Love Yourself era, the very core message of BTS that catapulted them from K-pop stars to global ambassadors of mental health, would be fundamentally incomplete without Jin's vulnerability. He wasn't just singing those lyrics, he was living them, showing the world how a man can learn to accept his own flaws. Which brings us to the most crucial, heart-stopping moment in BTS history, December 2018, the Mnet Asian Music Awards. This is the emotional peak. This is the moment we realize exactly what Jin means to BTS. They had just won Artist of the Year. They were at the absolute pinnacle of the music world, breaking records, breaking into the West. But as they stood on that stage, they were weeping. The pressure of sudden, astronomical global fame was crushing them alive. The members were physically and mentally exhausted, terrified of the sheer height they'd reached. And who stepped up to the microphone? Who was brave enough to tell the world the terrifying truth? It was Jin. Through tears, his voice shaking but resolute, Jin confessed a secret that shook the entire industry. "We suffered a lot this year. We even thought about disbanding." Just let the weight of that word hit you. Disbanding in 2018. Why did Jin say it? Because he is the shield. Even on their biggest night, when the younger members were too overwhelmed to articulate the darkness they had just survived, the eldest brother took the burden upon himself. He spoke the unthinkable truth so they wouldn't have to carry it in secret anymore. He normalized their pain. He made it okay for the biggest band in the world to admit they were breaking. And by bringing that darkness into the light, he helped them heal from it. If Jin hadn't been there in 2018, would they have survived that crisis? Or would the silence and the pressure have fractured BTS forever? Kim Seokjin didn't need BTS. He really didn't. He had the looks, the background, and the education to succeed anywhere. He could have walked a smooth, paved road to stardom as an actor, or lived comfortably in the quiet luxury of his family's world. Instead, he chose the dirt road. He chose the pain, the sweat, the criticism, and the cramped dorms. He chose to start from the absolute bottom, fighting for lines, fighting for screen time, just to keep his 6 younger brothers from falling apart. He didn't just join BTS, he raised them. So what would happen if Jin never became an idol? A young man named Kim Seokjin would still have lived a beautiful life. But millions of us, we would have lost our safe haven. We would have lost our moon. If the silver voice of BTS has ever helped you find your own light, or if Jin's story reminds you of why this group is so irreplaceable, leave a purple heart down in the comments. Share this with an army who needs to hear it today. And stay with us, because this universe is infinitely better with Kim Seokjin in it. See you in the next one.